Hello everybody, Average Gamer here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. In this episode, my ideas in regards to faction play slash rank play. Now the reason why I'm calling it faction play slash rank play is because of one of the ideas I have. Couple things I want to say first to kind of help things go along. Number one, this is just ideas that I have. Please don't say they're retarded or whatever. They're just my ideas. They're thoughts I have with playing other games that have other stuff that I wouldn't mind seeing in MechWarrior. I enjoy playing MechWarrior, so I thought it might be a good idea to have certain things included. That's the first thing. Second thing is a way to manage your units a little bit better within faction warfare itself. And a way to incentivize people to play faction warfare. A way to incentivize units to play faction warfare, and to incentivize non-unit players to join a unit. So first thing I'm going to talk about is management. So unit management, I think, should be broken down into something very, very simple. You have your unit leader. So I'm going to use my unit as an example. For us, 421st, the 11 members of us. So yeah, we don't even have a full team, but the 11 of us. We have the Baron von Hardcharger there as the leader, and then all the rest of us are kind of all pretty much number 2. Now, the way I have it is set to this. The unit leader can then set or can give someone the level where it's basically their job to control faction warfare. With that, it creates a faction warfare list for every unit, which we'll get into why there would be a separate list. But that gives that person, so say the Baron applied and told me, I gave you the position of general. Warfare general. So I get that, no problem. I go into the unit tab, and now I have an option that says faction warfare. I click that, and there's a list of all the players, and I can add or remove players off the faction warfare list. And those are players that will be actively playing in faction warfare. Reason for that is for bonuses that I'll mention later, and rewards that I'll mention later, and stuff like that. So that's the first thing. That person also has the ability to do the next step, which is every unit gets a quote-unquote a planetary base. Where I got this idea from is kind of World of Tanks, where they have their stronghold, and Armored Warfare, where you have your military, you have your forward operating base. Basically, I don't exactly remember how the World of Tanks one works, because I only got involved in that one. It very, very first came out, and that was many, many moons ago. So most of the stuff I'm going to talk about is Armored Warfare base. But basically, you get a huge empty base that already has pre-allocated locations for buildings. What happens is you get unit points. With those unit points from your players in your unit that are designated faction warfare players, as they play, they earn upgrade points or unit points. Those unit points you can then spend on your unit base. So, for example, in a match, you get 100. You get 100 unit points in the first month. Those unit points can be put towards, obviously prices would vary, but things like a barracks. The barracks gives you guys, say, all players on the team while playing faction warfare, a blank % boost when you buy the first building for XP, for experience. Then you get to upgrade the building up until a certain point to a certain amount of rewards. Obviously, you cap the reward bonus. Weapons factory. The weapons factory gives you a discount on. Actually, don't even say weapons factory. A mech bay. So there's a huge mech bay, kind of like the ones from Mech Commander and all that stuff, where it's kind of sitting there. You can buy one, and what that does is that gives you a discount on 4 and 4 mechs only. Those are your 4 faction warfare mechs. So the players that are registered as faction warfare pilots can gain that discount on 4 mechs. Now they have to designate the mechs as faction warfare mechs, and you only get 1 mech to do it to. We'll say per cycle. which we'll get into. So you got 4 mechs that you get a certain percentage off of when the mech lab is at a certain point. At the next upgrade, there's another discount. So you don't have to buy all 4 mechs at the same time. You can wait and upgrade and upgrade and upgrade till you get to the same max, I don't know, 10-20% discount. The next one would be a weapons lab. Now the weapons lab does the same thing that the mech lab does, except it only gives you a discount to weapons going on your 4 designated mechs for faction warfare. And there you go. Now these mechs can only be used in faction warfare as well. So if you want to play these mechs in quick play, you have to pay the difference for the chassis themselves. So say the mech is $1 million, you get 10% off. It's in 900,000. You go to play it in quick play, it's like, hey, hold on one second. You designate this mech as your faction warfare mech. This mech can only be played in faction warfare unless you pay a one-time fee of 100,000 C-bills. That 100,000 C-bills will, unlock this mech in regular mode, in quick play. So there you go. You can do that, which is basically what? 1 or 2, like not even one match in faction warfare. I mean, you can make almost $1 million in faction warfare in a win, right? So that's no real big deal there. Now, upgrade additional options, other abilities, right? Like a sensor or radar center that gives you discounts on artillery, airstrikes, things like that. Like have multiple different buildings that give multiple little discounts. You give C-bill boost, right? There's a what was it? It was an annex. We call it the NX. It's actually like NX or PX, basically. It's like basically it's like a convenience store in the military. So that could give you bonuses towards your C-bills, right? So lots of other stuff that you can do with that. And what happens is it's the faction leader, the faction general, their job to manage and spend these unit points on upgrading these and doing all what you have to do. Now, units themselves. So one of the problems everyone's having, and I'll admit this myself, is having certain units like the Lords, for example, which I've dropped against, and other units drop on one side against players that on the other side are not even close in skill, right? There's no way to kind of judge between skill between Team A and Team B. Well, here's the thing, right? If you look at all the units in the leaderboards, there is obviously a difference in units. It's a given. A lot of units are better than us, we'll say, in faction warfare. So, here is the next stage of what I would like to see changed. Is a ranked system, but with regulation. Now, what I mean by that is, say there's 10. We'll say there's 10 rankings, 1 through 10. You can play the groups above you and below you at your wish. Your actual faction general has the ability to pick that as an option to play the people above you or below you. If you play the people above you in a rank, so say you're rank 9, and you have it checked off that you were willing to play the people above you and below you. If you play the people in rank 10, because you have that checked off, you get an XP boost. Small XP boost, nonetheless, an XP boost. Because you're playing against people that technically are not as good as you. Because that's the way the stats have come out. Now, if you play the people above you, you get a C-bill boost, which helps, spend money to get better mechs, better everything, better weapons, you name it. Now, the way the regulation works, so you get 10 ranks, say there's, I don't know, in group 10, well, actually we'll say group 9 as well. There are 10 units in group 9. Of those 10, we'll say the top 10 and the bottom 10% get quote-unquote regulated, meaning that for a 3 month, for 3 months is a round. So, for those 3 months, everyone's fighting over planets and, taking and leaving planets and all that stuff. At the end of that 3 month period, well, the beginning of, we'll say, in the second week of it, it'll say, okay, we're entering the regulation phase. if your unit is in the top 10% or the bottom 10%, your faction general gets a notification. Right? They get a little thing that pops up how you normally do, right? And it's from, it'll say from command or something. Automated general message is saying, just so you know, obviously worded a little better lore-wise, but or even kind of, worded a little better, but saying basically you're being regulated. So if you're in the top 10%, it tells you if you're being moved up or not. So say you're in the top 10 and there's 2 teams. It will tell you what the other team is, what their stats are, and telling you that this is the other team you have to beat stats-wise. So out of those 2 teams, in the background, they get set both to 0. And whoever has, after 2 weeks, those high... And it's over 2 weeks, so everyone has time to play. Over 2 weeks, everyone's stats are worked up. And the 2 teams that have the high... Those 2 teams, whichever 2 has the highest, that one team moves up. Now, it's also the same with the bottom. So the bottom 2 teams, you get a notification saying, hey, listen, there's been a shakeup in command. We reevaluated your unit, and we realized that your unit and this other unit are possibly going to be getting redeployed to another area of the battlefield, or are going to be getting transferred to another area of the battle. Whichever one of you has a better or worse record within the next 2 weeks will be getting deployed to another region. Basically, you're getting moved to another area of the battle. In actuality, you're basically just moving down to rank 10. So it kind of works out, right? Now, mind you, say there's more than 10, more than 20 teams. So instead of being 10%, it could still be 10%. So it could be 3 teams. It'd be like, no problem. Still, top team. It'll always be 50% of whatever is moving up of that 10% and 50% of whatever is moving down. Now, the ability to only play people in your group, I know might cause a problem when it comes to finding matches. That's why it gives you the ability and the option as a unit leader or the faction warfare general to play the people above you for a C-build boost, or the people below you, as an XP boost. Can't choose one or the other, it's both. You can't just play the people below you and stomp them, and you can't just play the people above you to farm C-builds. So those are a couple of the other options. Now, another thing too is the ability to raid other units' headquarters. What happens is the new faction play, right? There's a base. Well, PvE. One of the things you can upgrade on your base is defenses. Artillery, rockets, missile systems, laser systems. You spend these points on defense. Now, what happens is that other people within a certain range of influence, depending on how good your unit is, can raid other teams within that range. That's the reason why I have the map up. So, for example, us at the 421st, we are currently on this planet here. Oh my god. I hate this map. So we're on this planet right here. Oh my god, can I at least get a planet name that I can name? Holy crap. Mallory? Markab, there we go. So, the planet Markab here. We're on this planet Markab. We have played and we've won 50% of our games. We're at an okay kill death ratio, so we're in the middle of tier 10, say for example. We were okay. We're not good enough to move up, but we're already in the bottom anyways. So no big deal. But because of our stats and the way we played, our thing shows a little minimum reticle around it. So every planet will have a unit, theoretically. So it'll say Markab, no big deal. But, you don't know, right? As a player, you don't know what your planet is. It'll randomly generate everybody on a different planet. So everyone just basically gets a random planet, but no one else sees what any other planet is. So it'll set you up within your faction. No big deal. Or it won't. It'll just set you up on a random planet, like on a moon somewhere. Either way, so it'll show you what your general range of influence is. So we're on Markab, which was right here. So we're in tier 5 or tier 10. We're meh. So all we can do is attack within a certain distance, kind of like basically a jump distance away. Because we don't have that much money. We're a small little band. We're on some moon in the Markab system, and we're not the best. So it basically tells us we can attack the people on Silene, which happen to be another small, tiny little unit. Another small little unit in Scat, and another one on Galentia 3 or whatever. So we can only hit all the planets within a certain distance of us. And we can raid their bases. Now, like I said, people can increase their influence by raiding other units around them, or trading with other units around them. So, for example, I've got an upgrade that's worth 110 loyalty points. I need 10 loyalty points. The people next to us on Scab, for example, they have 10 loyalty points, and they don't need them. They just recently upgraded something that was, say 160, 170, and they have an extra 10 loyalty points left over. So it'll actually say, you can actually put up in a system saying, selling loyalty points, buying loyalty points. And there's a going rate for C-bills. It's going to be a set rate where a unit with C-bills can purchase loyalty points at a set price to upgrade their planet. So the more you trade with the people around you, the better your reputation gets, which affects your influence. Now, then there's also the opposite way of affecting your influence, which is raiding, which will affect your infamy, which increases the cost of, say, buying loyalty or points on the market, quote unquote. Because you're raiding people. What's happening is you're getting a small amount of loyalty points, but you're also getting C-bills. So the unit then gets it, and basically you're attacking a huge PvE base. And that unit gets told that your unit raided their base. So they know, they're not going to like you. Now this also gives people the ability to play PvE, where you can drop in a glance of 4, player of 8, player of 6, doesn't matter, hell, even a player of 1 if you wanted to. You can drop and attack an enemy base. Now there's obviously cooldowns and all that stuff. You can only go within a certain range of your influence, and you can only attack one planet, each planet a day. So in our system here, we've got, say, just the 4 that I mentioned. Galentia, Scab, and oh crap, what was the other one? So we got Silene, Scat, and Galentia. So we're here. So we can only attack those 3 planets. So we can't attack them over and over and over again. There's a 24-hour cooldown when you attack a planet. There's also a 24-hour rollover period for your influence as well. So if you raid everyone in your area in that 24-hour period, your influence goes up or your influence goes down. No big deal. Now, one of the other options too is the ability to just select the planet yourself. So as the general, you get to pick a planet, and it'll be on a non-changing map. So, for example, this map here we have that's showing what factions control what planets and stuff. The other map, the map showing your planet, your base, just a small one of just your area. Just your little section of just your little sector, for example. Doesn't show any factions. It'll just show the units in your area. Now, what it'll also do is defer those units to units that are roughly the same rate as, like, base level as you. So, so nothing's more, no one can attack anything above them, or specifically in this case, farm units that are smaller than them. Units that are inactive for a certain amount of time get removed from the map. Brand new units get a grace period of, say, 1 cycle, so 3 months, before they have to worry, right? So, yeah, that's some ideas I had for faction warfare. So a total of 3-month cycles, We'll still do the usual, like, 8 hour, all that stuff. But it's a 3 hour cycle, 3 month cycle, where in the last 2 weeks of every cycle, we have a regulation where 10% of 10%, the top 10% and the bottom 10%, 50% of that 10%. So say if it's 2 teams, 2 units, 1 unit's getting moved down. Or if you're in the top 10%, 1 unit's going up at the 2. Or if it's 4, 2 are going up, 2 are going down. So that way there's always a set even number. Also so you don't have to worry. Like, units can always be moving up. And it's not going to be something like PSR where it's everyone, no matter how well you play, it's most likely going to average out and move you up. This is pretty much set on things like win-loss ratio, so you can play as many games as you want. But if you have a 12% win ratio on, say, 300 games, it will look and say, okay, well, your win-loss ratio, it's 12%. Now, we're also looking at your kills, and you guys have a 90% kill rate. So you kill 90% of the people you like of the mechs you go up against, but you also lose this massive percentage. So we'll start calculating things differently, but win-loss ratio would probably be the primary. It's one of those things, right, where it averages out for people that, because if you go by just, say, for example, wins, say my unit, 11 guys, I drop separate. One of my other guys drops separate. We both play, we both win, that's 2 wins. Well, if we both win and play, it's just 100%. Now, if I play, I lose, he plays, he loses, or if I win, he loses, we're at 50%. Because we're all playing separate games. So the win-loss percentage is a lot better. Kill-death ratio would be another one. So I think those would be things to kind of look at in regards to regulating up and down. In regards to regulation up and down, there also would be bonuses associated with that, whether it would be MC bonuses, unit point bonuses, C-bills, MC, you name it. There would be some sort of reward for it, for moving up. Moving down, there'd be nothing. Now, here's another thing too. This also what discourages people from just going up into the next level and basically just waiting, regulating themselves by not playing anything, or just kind of not doing anything and then going down on purpose, is if you don't, how can I put this? There'll be certain anti-measures in place where if you play even like, say, 400 games in that 3-month period, or you play a substantial amount of games, and your stats are just naturally shitty in tier 9 versus tier 10, and you get regulated down, and then 3 months later you get regulated back up again, that's no big deal. It will give you the rewards again. But if it notices that it happens 4 months in, 4 months, or 4 times in, 6 times, 7 times, you might not get the reward then. Because basically what's happening is you're moving up every 3 months and then moving down. Then moving up and then down. So you're that unit. So, I think the 3-month thing would be enough of a buffer that would stop you from getting regulated down, so I'm hoping. We wouldn't have to do anything like that, but I think 3 months would be good, maybe even 2 months. To help move teams up the ranks, and maybe 5 ranks are good. Hell, maybe 10 ranks is good. And then maybe say, okay, you play the top 2 above you or 2 below you, I don't know. But those are some of the ideas I have, especially with faction warfare, that I think would make things a little bit more fun. It adds a little bit of PvE in there as well. There's still the fighting over planets. There's the ability to control your own planet. There's the ability to upgrade your own facilities. There's a dedicated person within a unit that controls how you get your rewards, which also brings me to the other point. When a team gets regulated up, everyone that gets regulated up in every of the 10 gets the exact same amount. It's a set minimum on players. So for every player that's active, the team gets regulated up. For players that played a minimum set of games, they get 100,000 C-bills, for example. So For the 21st, we have 10 players that play Faction Warfare, the minimum over 3 months, minimum 300 matches, we'll say. Play those 300 matches, everyone gets 100,000 C-bills, boom, right away. Now, the unit itself will get a bonus in regards to the unit points to give some upgrades to our base, but at the same time, it then sets aside an additional amount, like so that whole amount, that whole 100,000 per player goes to the unit, not to the player, to the unit. The unit general is basically it gives the percentages of that money to the players associated with how actually active they are. So, you get 10 players, they'll play the minimum 300 matches. 100,000 theoretically would go to all of them. But instead of getting a million C-bills, or 100,000 just getting it yourself at the end of the month, the unit gets 1,000,000 itself, and then there's a breakdown. The unit is then the general is then given the breakdown, and it's his job to basically dish out the C-bills. And they're basically the general's given multiple ways of breaking it down, right? It's like a preset way to deal up. So they can't manually say so-and-so gets 10 C-bills, so-and-so gets 600,000 C-bills, so-and-so gets 4 C-bills. It's amount of active percentage. So, for example, I played over 1,000 matches in those 3 months. Everyone else played at least half of that. If you add up everyone together, we played 2,000 matches. So, I played 50% of the matches. We got 100,000. We got $1 million for all the players. It turns around and says, because the player leader decided the C-bills are being distributed via percentage of games played. No problem. I played 50%. I get 50% of the C-bills for being regulated up. So you reward the players who play the most at the end of the regulation. Another way to do it is to say, okay, well, I want it to go win-loss, games played, and kills most damage dealt. There'll be an option. You get to check off a whole bunch of different options. So you can go, basically, I want, everyone, or you can even say, I want everyone to get a minimum of, say, 10,000. Done. And then I'll be like, okay, now I'm going to associate bonuses towards players. And bonuses would be associated with, if you set a minimum to everybody, say everyone gets 50,000. So 10 players, 50,000. That's, boom, you're done, right? That's 500,000 given away to everybody. There's still 500,000 left over. Now you set it up and say, highest 2 people with kills most damage dealt, highest 2 people with win-loss ratio, and then highest 2 active players. And it will look at everything and say, okay, these 2 players had the most kills, damage dealt, or the most damage dealt in the 3 months. These 2 players had the most best kill death, and these players were the most active. And it breaks down the rewards that way. So again, feeds things around a little differently, and you can give your bonuses. You have a good control of them, but at the same time, you can't actually set a number to players. Just because you don't want certain players to be alienated for, say they're trying to force someone out of a unit. You don't want people to get totally screwed, right? So, it's a good little fair way of saying how to reward people at the end of every regulation cycle. Now, if you get regulated down, there is no, obviously, reward for that. And there's no penalty either. No penalties in the game associated with anything other than rewards, right? Faction loyalties, that'll be worked out a little differently as well. So, for example, we're loyalists of the FRR. So what'll happen is, how long is this video already? Oh, yeah, we're running at 30 minutes. Holy crap. So, as members of the FRR, as loyalists, good. We worked out our loyalty points for the FRR. But our faction warfare, or our warfare general, has the ability to contract us out as, not mercs, but as I don't even know what the word is I'm trying to think of, but to go with other house loyalists and to play with them. What that basically does is that's what happens when you get regulated up or down. When you get regulated up, you gain for that month the ability to pick a house to be a consultant to. So basically, you get 10% loyalty points to that extra unit, or to that extra faction, sorry. So if you're in the FRR, you get it at rank 10, you go up to rank 9, and it tells you, hey, okay, so congratulations, you regulated up to the next round, or up to the next level. You're now rank 9 as a unit. As a rank 9 unit, you now have the ability to deploy these funds how you see fit. Here's how you can regulate to decide how people get their money. On top of that, you have the ability to decide to pick another house upon which you will be a consultant to. Now, here is that every house you pick beyond rank 9 is other factions you gain those points with. So there's what? There's one. I'm going to scroll out here for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 factions. So if we had 10 ranks, which is good. So on rank 10, you basically just get for your house. That's it. Then for every rank beyond that, up until rank 2, you get the ability to earn faction points for everybody else. Right? So you go to Lao, then you go to Davian, Steiner, Merrick, whatever. Within your group. Now, certain other factions will then have extra little abilities. Like, for example, Smoke Jaguar will have extra ability to do something associated with the fact that they got wiped out. We'll figure that one out later. But say for example, FRR. When you get up to a certain rank, say rank 2, or like every rank 1 of a unit will have a special feature for every group you're associated with. So for example, if you're a member of the FRR, you have the ability to run 2 CMAX, for example. Why? Because the Free Razzle Heg Dominion is created in 2060 something. That's because the FRR and the Ghost Bear, Clan Ghost Bear, actually amalgamated into one. So theoretically, you're both an IS and a clan faction in one. So the two combined together to create the Free Razzle Heg Dominion. And you have the ability to run, if you're running, for example, Clan Max and you're in Ghost Bear, you have the ability to run a specific type, like specific Inner Sphere mechs. There'll be a specific limit to what mechs you can run in Ghost Bear, but it'll be something along the lines of the same thing. And same with a Free Razzle Heg, you'll be able to run 2 C-Mechs. Not Clan Mechs, but 2 C-Mechs. Mercs, when they hit is the only thing I have issues with when it comes to all this. And I've realized that as a Merc in rank 1, and rank 10, as a unit, in rank 9, you have the ability to sign an exclusive contract. That gives you a permanent boost of, obviously C-Bills, with that specific group. So whenever one of their planets is, under threat, being fought over, you get the ability to earn a little bit extra C-Bills per match. In that cycle, if a planet is defended and or taken. So, for example, you're playing as the FRR, or you're playing as a Merc, and you sign, when you move up to rank 10, an exclusive contract with the FRR. That means that if any FRR planets are attacked, you basically will get a bonus at the end of the attack cycle, the end of the 8 hours, which will count towards you, if you fight and are active, obviously. Play a minimum of a certain amount of, I don't know if we'll do a minimum certain amount of games, but, even if you play one, just in that match alone, you get a 10% bonus for an attack or defend because the free Razzlehags under attack. Now, there's so many planets that are fought, right? It will actually randomly just give you the option of what faction that you can sign that contract with. So by the end of the whole thing, as a merc, you should, by rank 2, have a quote-unquote exclusive contract for a 10% boost to every faction in every match, no matter what. So you're always getting that extra 10% C-bills when you're playing faction warfare. You still have all the base stuff, and all that stuff will be still the same. But you get, instead of having, extra faction point rewards and all that stuff, you just keep getting C-bills. Tons of C-bills. Just boom, 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 boom. Now, when you get to rank 1 as a unit, then there'll be a specific reward, right? So every faction will have a tier 1 reward, and then from tier 2 to tier 9 is a consultant reward. You get to pick that next group to be consult with to gain, those C-bills for the next faction. And it's some of these things, right? It's one of those things where it gives you the ability to get rewards from other factions. And even though you can't bounce around, it gives you the ability to to get more stuff. That can be tweaked and modified a lot, I know. But that's an idea. So, enough of my rambling. I've gone on for almost 40 minutes. But some of my ideas for faction warfare. Thanks for listening to my long comments. I know not all of them are best to be implemented into the game. I know some of them would be a good idea. I know some may be frivolous, some may be, we'll say, anti-popular, and some are, kind of out there. But overall, I think it would be a fun little thing to try. Who knows? There's a bigger world out there, universe out there for us to explore. See you guys next time. See you in the battlefield. Bye-bye.